This is K9WLW. I have another video that I wanted to do today to demonstrate some cross-moding feature with the Openspot 2. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate cross-moding a C4FM radio over to DMR. In this case, DMR Brandmeister. There's been some inquiries, I guess, lately in the Openspot group and Facebook about how to use your C4FM radio and talk on Brandmeister. Well, I thought I would do a demonstration to clearly indicate how that is done. It does work, and it works quite well, in fact. Now, I don't have the new Openspot 3, but the video demonstration today would also apply to the Openspot 3 because it also, just like the Openspot 2, has no issues at all cross-moding from C4FM over to DMR. So it really would apply to either an Openspot 2 or 3. Anyway, I've started off with my dashboard connectors page up on the Openspot. And right now I have it connected to null, which is no connector, which is where I kind of leave it when I'm not using it, so I'm not having transmissions sent out when I'm not using my radios. First thing that you want to do is you need to configure the DMR settings on the connectors page and also on the settings page so that your radio will work properly in the DMR world. Chances are, if you don't have a DMR radio, you've never set up the DMR settings with a frequency or any other information. And you have to initially do that to get started. So I'm going to also demonstrate that so you can be well on your way to making that cross-mode transition. Okay, so what you want to do on the connectors page is, well, it's probably best if you start on the quick start menu, which is on the lower right hand corner. Okay, the reason I suggest this is because it's easy to remember. It's a great starting point, and there's only a few steps you actually have to go through to set it up to cross mode. From the quick setup menu, the first option is please select the type of your radio. Well, in this case, we're using a C4FM radio, so you simply tap on this C4FM button or click on it if you're using Windows. Let me do that again. There we go. It then takes you to the quick setup menu, and it asks you please select the C4FM network server type to continue. Well, I don't know why they use it in that terminology. Basically, this is what network you're trying to connect your radio to. Well, we've already picked the C4FM radio, and we're going to go not to FCS reflectors or YSF reflectors, which you're probably accustomed to doing with your C4FM radio already, but we're going to go over to the Brandmeister network. So you tap or click on the Brandmeister, and then it takes you over to the quick setup for C4FM Brandmeister. Now, obviously mine has been set up before, so I'm going to have to kind of slow it down a minute here to kind of show you where to start. First thing you have to pick is what server in Brandmeister do you want to use. So if you click over here to the far right, you'll get a drop down with all of the available Brandmeister servers, and they're in alphabetical order by country, and I'm in the USA, so I recommend picking a country that you're in or a nearby country if your country doesn't have one. As you can see, I've already picked United States 3102. There's 4 available in the United States. 3108 is going to be deactivated shortly, so I wouldn't bother with that one. So 3, 3101, 3102, and 3103. will be your available choices if you live in the United States. And I guess there's one in Canada, 3021. But any one of those three should work fairly well if you're in the US, and probably even in other countries too. It's just that the closer you are to the server, the less latency and delays and so forth that there is in your traffic. So I'm going to click on 3102, and then I'm going to simply hit the connect button. So here we go.
Openspot connected to Brandmeister 3102.
Okay. Now, you may or may not hear that when you first connect, because remember, it now takes me to the connectors page. Okay, I'm going to not go out in advanced mode. I'm going to try and keep this simple. After you get comfortable with this, you can start doing more of your advanced settings. So I have it in not in advanced mode. I just unchecked that. And obviously it says you're connected to Homebrew MMDVM, which is a DMR connector. And you have to put in your modem frequency. So make sure you put in the frequency that you normally use when you're using your C4FM radio. So I would just put in that same frequency. Now you'll notice there says modem mode C4FM. That's because we chose a C4FM radio in the very first menu option. So that means the hotspot will transmit and receive in C4FM mode, which is what you need in order to hear and be able to transmit from your Yaesu C4FM radio. Okay, below that you have protocol. Brandmeister, you always have to have the protocol switched to the left where it says Homebrew. Homebrew is simply choosing nothing but the Brandmeister servers that you saw on the earlier list. If you go to MMDVM, okay, it will allow you to pick other DMR networks. And I'm not familiar with many of them. I guess this is called the DMR Plus network, and I have not experimented with DMR Plus yet, so and I lost my place. Let me go back. Here we go. Okay, I don't use DMR Plus. I've never experimented with that. Again, maybe that's down the road when I get a little more bold and daring on exploring. There's apparently quite a few DMR Plus connectors that you can use. I'll tell you one that I have used is the TGIF network. So that is another DMR network or server you can connect to, and they have their own set of talk groups. Okay, and then there's the XLX protocol, where you can connect to XLX reflectors and QSO with people that are in D-Star who also have access to those. And I believe YSF connectors now have access to XLX as well. So it's kind of a multi-mode thing. But anyway, we're going to focus on Brandmeister. So we're going to go back to Homebrew. And we're back into the Brandmeister. Okay. Of course, you have to have your call sign, your DMR ID, which I hope you've already gotten. If not, you want to go to radioid.net and request. It's pretty easy to do in radioid.net. Request a DMR ID. They'll ask you your call sign, some other information, and usually within about a few hours, they usually send you an email and indicate that you now have a DMR ID. And once they've updated that, you're good to go on DMR. Okay, and then the other thing that you would want to go to is you want to go to the settings page, and this is for DMR settings. Scroll down on the settings. You want to pick a color code, And you want to make sure that your DMR ID is set there. Again, we're not in the advanced mode. We're in the, I guess, the standard mode. So it's pretty simple. Make sure it's color code 1 and your regular 7-digit DMR ID, and you're ready to roll. Now, you already heard my radio connect to the Brandmeister server 3102. We are not connected to a talk group. We're simply connected to a server. There's no talk group connection yet. So we're not going to hear any traffic. If we key up, no one's going to hear us. Okay. Unlike YSF and FCS reflectors, when you connect in, you're connected into a room immediately, and it announces that you're connected to YSF reflector such and such, or FCS reflector such and such, usually by their number assignment. Well, DMR, you got to go one step further to connect to a talk group beyond the server. And when you connect to a talk group, it does not announce that you're connecting to a talk group. So you have to be cognizant of where you are, and I'll show you how. Okay, the magic on connecting to talk groups is most easily done from what I call the tools page. You'll only see this tools page up at the top if you're using an Android device or an Apple device. I think if you're using a Windows device and you have it widescreen, there won't be a tools page, but the tools options will be down the right-hand side of the screen. So I hope if you experiment around, you'll figure that out. But if you have an Android, it's pretty simple. Tap on the tools page, and you've got something up at the very top called Quick Call. This is a very easy method of connecting to talk groups. Okay, the second setting down is where you type in a talk group that you want to connect to, and to connect to it, all you do is tap that blue call button, and you're in. And you can QSO right away with your push to talk. Okay, I'm going to show a couple connections here to see if we can even find any traffic. I'm going to suggest for openers we try talk group 91, which is worldwide talk group, and it's usually fairly busy. So you type in 91 after you erase what was in there before, and then all you have to do is tap the call button. Now again, you're not going to hear an announcement that we're connecting to the talk group. We're just going to pop right in, and you'll either hear traffic or you won't. So here we go. Click on the call button or tap on it if it's an Android. I just did that. And there you go. As you can see, we popped right in. So we are now in talk group 91. And I'm sure you're familiar with this. If you're familiar with the FT2D, it usually shows a call sign right up at the top. Oh, word of note, make sure your radio, your C4FM radio, is locked into digital narrow mode. You cannot cross mode to DMR if you're in voice wide. You won't hear any of the audio. You must be in digital narrow. As you can see, I'm in digital narrow. The traffic's coming right through. Okay, now, let's say we want to try another talk group. Well, what I recommend doing is hitting the group call 4000 button. That's a disconnect request. The reason I love this about the Openspot is there can be traffic. You don't even have to wait for the traffic to unkey in order to get out of the room. You just simply hit the group call 4000. Bingo, you're out. It says unlinked, and the word disconnect shows up on my display. So now we're still connected to the server. We are not connected to any talk group. Okay, let's see about 3100. Let's give that a try. So I'm going to go into that field and backspace over it and erase it. And I'm going to type 3100, and then I'm going to hit the call button. Bingo, we're in. It's pretty simple. Sounds good, just like you're on your normal C4FM. Good quality audio, and again, you can join in just by hitting push to talk, just like you're one of the DMR people. So that's really it. Not difficult. Again, once you get familiar with other talk groups, you can pop around where you want. You can actually save shortcut buttons to go to talk groups. I'll give you an example. I've set this one as talk group 91. Also, I've set up these short key buttons.
I don't know how to do it, by the way, but I will search on the internet how to do it.
I had to go back to advanced mode. See where it says auto group call 4000 before shortcut call? I check mark that because when you do that and you want to go to another talk group, it'll do a 4000 disconnect and then it'll do a connect call to the new talk group. All in one touch of a button. So let's go back to 91. There's the 4000 call. There's the 91 connect announcement display. You are connected to talk group 91. Let's say you want to go back to 3100 and it's a pre-programmed button. You just tap on that. Bingo, we're in 3100. Pretty easy. Openspot has a nice platform on the tools page. Oops. Sorry, I knocked myself off frequency. There we go. Anyway, that pretty much does it. Now, you may ask yourself this. Let me turn the radio down. I'm sure the question's going to come up. How can I change talk groups from the radio and not using the browser? Little tricky, but it can be done with any Fusion radio. All you have to do, for example, you're in a talk group and you want to get out of the talk group, you key up, hit the DTMF button, and then type 400 with your DTMF tones, and then unkey. And again, you have to wait for a break in the traffic in order to do this. And assuming it works, that you do it correctly, it will then announce that you've unlinked. Then to link to a talk group, you simply key up, hit the DTMF button, then hit pound, followed by the talk group number, unkey. It should connect you to the talk group. So you can do it both with the dashboard or with the radio. It's a little easier with the dashboard. But again, if you're out and walking around or whatnot, it might be a little hard to use the dashboard. So you can do it from the radio. But that pretty much is it. And it works quite well. Not super complicated, and it works well. And you may find yourself really enjoying some of the traffic in the DMR world. There's a lot out there. And it's just nice to expand your horizon there before you even have to spend any money on a DMR radio. Chances are, after you go over there and enjoy some of the traffic there, you may end up saying, you know what, let me get a DMR radio. Because it's a little easier to navigate with a DMR radio in the DMR world than it is with the pound and the talk group number. But it does work. Again, the radio is not designed to QSY around DMR, but it will allow you to. And of course, the dashboard on Openspot 2 is second to none when it comes to DMR connectivity. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or any comments, please do so below. Or you're welcome to email me at cq2meters@yahoo.com. Thanks again for watching, and 73s from K9WLW.